We are the chosen generation. Our God to show is excellent. All I require for life that is given me, I know who I am. We are the chosen generation. Our God to show is excellent. All I require for life that is given me, I know who I am. I know.
Hey, it's Saturday, and guess what? It is time for Dear Life After. So here we are, ready to engage, have fun, get the scoop on what's going on. Hey, and guess what? If you have not told your friends, I'm going to need you to go tell your friends to follow us and join us at Dear Life After. We're here every Saturday. I'm going to need you to tell your friends. Go tell your friends right now because we are impacting lives here on Dear Life After. So tell your friends right now. It's not too late for them to join us live right now and get the scoop. You ready? Are you ready for what we have on today? I'm just waiting. Tell me, are you ready? Show me some love. Are you ready for what we're going to have for you on today? Well, let me tell you. This person here, she is somebody that I call friend, somebody that I call sister. Hey, her journey is her journey. So I hope you are ready for today's show because somebody's life will never be the same after today. So some of you know her, some of you don't, but after today, if nothing else, you're going to know her story. My dear friend, my dear sister, Natasha Stanley.
Hey,
Hey,
good morning. How are you?
hey, it's a new day, right?
Absolutely.
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 So today, Natasha, just kind of tell people who you are, where you're from. Tell them how we met. Do you remember how we met?
So we met at our church, which is New Covenant. We became friends, and pretty much from that point on, it's been downhill from there.
Not downhill.
Yes, yes, absolutely, absolutely. It's
Okay,
a
I'm gonna
great
let you.
thing, though.
Only you can get away with that. She said
Absolutely,
downhill.
not like
Okay.
that, but it's a great thing. It's a
It,
great
it,
thing.
it is a great thing
Yeah,
because actually I met you because you were at that time you had an what they call an LVAC. Is that what it called?
correct. Left
So,
ventricle assistance device that I was not able to take off. It was connected to my body.
yeah, because you used to always tell me, you know what, I hate you because you always we would always be talking on the phone. You was
Mm,
like, you in the bathtub and I can't take a bath
yeah,
because
yeah,
I'm connected to
absolutely.
this thing that's connected to me.
Absolutely. And the crazy thing is, I was only able to take baths Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So, yes, absolutely.
So we're gonna kind of talk about from heartbreak to heart transplant.
All right.
So I know that as you were kind of waiting on a heart transplant, so you
hmm
actually had to have a actual heart transplant.
hmm hmm
But prior to you receiving a heart transplant, you kind of went through a divorce. You were actually married. How
hmm
long were you married?
13 years. 13 years I was married.
So after 13 years of marriage, you got a divorce.
I did. I did. And I got a divorce, not really not knowing. Laying in the hospital bed, I was served papers. Um, in the midst of that, And matter of fact, let's go back here. I didn't really know the complications that I was having. Um, I moved here to Dallas, and so from Oklahoma because I'm from Tulsa. So from Tulsa, I came here, and other things happened. I had to start out with the defibrillator, which I was very afraid of at that point. But from the defibrillator, I had other complications, and so at one point they had told me that my heart was so big that it sat up in the corners of where my lungs and things were. So it was much more. They said that my heart was as big as a small basketball. So
Um,
it went from that to I had the LVAD. So the LVAD again was a left ventricle assistance device, and it was a bridge to getting a transplant. So I really didn't know that I needed a transplant up until I started having more complications. And so it was something that I had to live with for a long time. And, you know, God teaches you patience. And so that was something that I had to live with for 5 years. And there were a lot of things that I was not able to do. There was a lot of things that I pushed myself to do. And
okay.
I
But in the midst of not knowing that you needed a transplant, how did being served about your divorce while you were in the hospital, how did
so
that affect your heart, so to speak?
uh, I
Because you needed a physical heart, but yet here you're being served divorce papers and you didn't even know anything about it. So that's a whole different kind of, your heart
It is.
being hurt.
Mentally, he was somebody that was a friend. Wherever I was, he was. And so it went from a friendship to a marriage. And to know that I was put in a predicament when I stuck and stayed the whole while uh, was something else. And so I dealt with a lot of mental issues. You know, it hurts. It's bothersome still. It's not as bothersome, but it's still bothersome. And the only way to answer that question, the only way that I was able to deal with this was to get with God. And I'm saying that because when I was in Oklahoma, I had my problems, but when I got to Dallas and I was alone and I didn't have mama or family, only person I could depend on was God. And so, for those that don't trust or have an issue, you looking at somebody that's a 10-year heart transplant recipient that lived with a device that was connected to her body for 5 years. So I know that I'm a blessing, and God sent angels, and He sent
Okay,
a lot of them.
but prior to your initial reaction in the hospital getting papers, your initial reaction was God, or was your initial reaction you was pissed off, you
No,
was
my
hurt, you was
my
angry?
initial my initial reaction was, "I be damned." I mean, you couldn't come and tell me nothing. And for me to be in ICU and they served me papers, yeah, God had to be in it. I mean, because I was angry. Ain't even what I was. It was just it was foul. Is what it was. I just I think back now, but yeah, if it wasn't for God, I probably would have tried to get up and go find him. But I was broken, and then you already left me for dead as far as I'm concerned, and then to have papers filed and they sent to me while laying in the bed trying to get my life in order. So yeah, I was distraught, and a lot of people knew it.
Yeah, because just imagine. I mean, you laying there like you said, you're in ICU, and so he don't send papers, no explanation. Because did you know how y'all even got to that point?
So, um, I had been ill because I don't like the word sick, but I had been ill for a little bit, and my niece, she's a grown woman now, but she told me, she said, Amy, come to church. She said it's a woman at the church that likes my uncle. And a lot of times I didn't want to get out the bed because I just was tired. And she said, just come. And it was a Wednesday night, and I got up and went to church. And so I told her, I said, show me the person. And so she pointed the person out, and I said, then, no, they friends. They not. And she was a little girl, so kids are when they really adore their uncles and what have you. And so, make a long story short, the devil is something else. He works with me at night. And so I got up that night and did something that we all should not do, but I went through his phone. And so when I went through his phone, I saw all the texts and all of everything. And so I woke him up immediately. And so when I woke him up, I asked him. I said, "Who is this?" And so
How did you wake him up? Hold on, wait a minute, wait
he
a
was
minute.
asleep. He was there. He was at home.
I mean, you just woke him up, just like, hey, wake
And
up,
I
or
said, "Hey, hey, 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 hey,
you didn't wake
wake
him
up."
up hitting him, or
No, no, no. Cause see, I
what?
need you. I'm crazy. I need you to confirm and say stuff, even though you might not. I needed him to confirm that this is what I was seeing, and he never said anything. And so, um, I and before that, before, well, yeah, yeah, okay. So I saw that, and let me just go back here and say this. Before I said anything to him, I called the lady. And so I told the lady, I said, I don't know what you and him got going on. If I need to say something to him, then at this point he's my husband, so I need to say something to him. But if I find out that you and him is doing whatever, I'm gonna get you. And I mean, I'm gonna beat you up. And so she confirmed that it was nothing going on and what have you. And so that's when I found more texts. And so the text that I found, confirmed that they had something going on. I don't even care if it was conversation, but via text it sounded like more. So that's when I woke him up, and he never confirmed whether or not he liked her. And so after that second time, I he didn't say nothing. I just started fighting because at that point I was hurt.
You started fighting?
Yeah, I was angry.
Who were you fighting?
I was fighting Johnny. Excuse me.
Oh,
I was fighting Johnny. So I was angry because I stuck with you the whole while through your addiction, through everything. We came here together. We didn't come to Dallas separate. So I just started thinking about all the things, and then it just went crazy from that point on. So I would have preferred to try to work it out at that point, but I was just angry because I stuck my neck out for him in every way that I could as a wife. So that's how that began, and from that point on, uh, we separated. We still conversated a little bit, but we separated, and then one day, um, I was at church, and I had the LVAD back then. I got sick while we were in a little study we were having. It was a group, and so I had told one of my guy friends, which I call my brother. I said, I feel sick. I said, if I don't come back, come in the bathroom and get me. And so I guess I stayed too long. Make a long story short,
okay.
he came in, he got me. I winded up going to the hospital. My pastor, which is so awesome, he was right there, and from that point on, I stayed in the hospital for months, and I don't mean a couple of months. It was almost 5 months that I was in the hospital. From that point on, this is how, and I was in the hospital, but in ICU, and this is how I winded up getting paper served. So that's how.
So in other words, the lady that he was having conversations with
Hmm.
was actually at the church as well, where you were a member,
Hmm.
where you both
And,
attended.
and and the cold blooded thing is, she didn't talk to me. She talked to my mom. And so my mom, I'm still a mama's girl. So I was saying, I was my mama was like, she be asking about you and stuff like that. And I'm like, I don't know why. I mean, I don't know why she asking about me when she don't talk to me. But because I adore my mother, I said, okay, I'm gonna give this a chance. And so I just started talking to her, and she started talking back. Now the bad thing was you was in my face and you was looking at my guy. So I didn't know you. You talked to my mother, and that's why I end up talking to you, just trying to follow pursuit. Uh,
Well, I think because this is kind of some of the reasons, or one of the things where why some people won't attend church, because I think people get confused in the sense of, oh, well, they did it in the church. Well, but you're the church, and
hmm.
so the church is kind of just like the hospital. That's where you're supposed to go when you're sick, so to speak. So that's where you go. You don't wait until you have gotten rid of your issues to go to church, you know. And so people
I
get
mean,
mis.
I get that, but they got everything in the church.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, everything is up in there. And like I said earlier today, the problem is folks don't tell the truth. People need to start telling the truth and just be honest about stuff because the church that I attend now, I met my pastor at the counter working at Avis. And so um I had my mama come because where I grew up at, we just kind of like put our hands together and kind of went back and forth. And when I got to Dallas and I see, that everybody was really praising God in their own way, I told my mom, I said, "Girl, you got to come see this because this is amazing. This
Because
is amazing."
one person says it's not church hurt, it's people hurt,
Yeah,
because the pastor can't control who's
absolutely.
in the church, so to speak. You
No,
know.
no, you can't control it, but it makes a difference when other people know and you don't know.
Hmm.
And these are people that are in your face. So now the pastor only can get a lot of information, as far as I'm concerned, from his congregation. So now I didn't expect nobody to know, but it was getting back to me, and it started with uh, my niece telling me. But yeah,
Because
that's a
kid
true statement.
because you know what, kids observe and kids
Sure
see
do.
things and pay attention to things that we don't even give a second thought to.
Yeah, especially if they love you. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, especially if they love, they're
Absolutely.
gonna tell everything. They're gonna tell everything. But yeah, I once
I
that
mean,
happened,
mhm.
once that happened in the church, I was ready to go.
You were ready to leave the church,
Absolutely, absolutely.
so why didn't you?
I didn't leave because I was grounded there, and I felt like hell. I didn't need to leave. Y'all did. So you know, y'all can't come and just mess up. What God has done. I've tried to leave twice, and I start hearing different people preach and stuff, and I'm like, that don't sound like Reverend Bird. So no, I'm gonna go back to where I belong because this ain't making no sense. But yeah, I wanted to leave. After a while, you start thinking everybody looking at you, and because I was ill, a lot of people thought I wasn't being no wife. That my LVAD was my testimony, but it didn't stop me from doing what I needed to do. When it came to wife duties, and again, it might. All I know is I did the best that I could. So yeah,
Because you saying up to prior to receiving that, you didn't know of any detrimental or issues to where, oh, okay, well, this didn't working for us.
nah, I'd have never thought in a million years. Not a and we always say, well, why me? But I never thought that I would have to Literally, I have a man's heart, which don't matter. It could have came from a monkey, but I have one, and so God gave it to me. That's exactly what He did. He gave it to me, and no, I never thought. You hear about other people, but until it happens to you, it becomes something else.
Because how long did you actually wait for a heart? A heart.
Almost 5 years,
What's the average time that most people wait?
6, 7. Sometimes it can be more than that, but depending on how bad your heart is. The machine that I wore, they said when they took it out of me, it just failed. It just shut off, and this was literally my heartbeat. So God knew it was time for me to pretty much go about His business.
So you feel like God went ahead and gave you a heart in regards to your road to recovery from your heartbreak?
Absolutely, 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 I do because I got a lot of friends that have passed. I believe that God is giving me a second chance to get off my behind and do what He says. I'm still, kind of, because I don't know, but yeah, I believe He's giving me a second chance because I'm gonna tell you something about God. God sent some people in my life in that hospital that I know is just that season that I was going to interact with these people, and I say that because a lot of people prayed for me, literally, and I mean around the world, but in that hospital. And when I got my transplant, they gave me a bracelet, and they called my bracelet peace, because in the midst of needing a heart, telling me that I had 24 hours pretty much to live, and upon them saying that, I kept saying, I came in here for a doctor's appointment. I didn't come in here for this. And so I went from a doctor's appointment to ICU at that time, and that's when they found out everything.
Oh
But
wow. Okay.
I know that yeah, God gave me He gave me this because I got stuff to do.
You got stuff to do.
I got a lot of stuff to do. I need to get on it and do what I need to do because it's instilled it in me.
It is,
Yeah.
and we talk about that,
Hmm.
don't we?
Absolutely. Me, you, and my mama. So yeah, my
Yeah,
mother.
we talk
Hmm.
about that from the text in the church to come over here. This lady needs somebody to pray for. What I tell you?
Hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
you got it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because like you say, it's in you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. It is.
yeah.
And so my situation, it's bettering me. I didn't understand a lot of things. My mother, growing up, my mama used to shout. Just she would shout, and we'd be like, "We wish you shut the hell up." Literally, because it was embarrassing.
It
But
was
until,
embarrassing.
oh yeah, 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 it was very embarrassing. And see, my mama, she's a warrior. So, and I mean, yeah, a warrior. She's a live warrior. But uh, I didn't understand what her shouting and her praise was about up until I had to go through my own stuff. So when I and am or going through whatever it is that I'm going through, I know what her worship is about. Again, I didn't understand in the beginning. And for a lot of kids, back then we was just looking and kids would really make fun of us about my mama shouting. But now a lot of people understand. Yeah, my mama, yeah,
Because I mean,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, because people don't understand, like you said, until you've been through something,
Mhm.
then maybe then at that point you can, somewhat understand. But what I
Mhm.
do know is that everybody's relationship with God is
Totally
different. You
different.
know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So some people go to him, they feel like, them in the quiet moments, and then others, they're more vocal,
Hmm. Yeah.
I know I've gotten to the point I just, some days I just be like, hey, you know what? Why are you doing this? Like,
Yeah.
what's up
Yeah.
with this?
That's gonna be
You
your best
know,
answer. It's gonna come from him or somebody. So yeah,
yes.
it's and again, God will send people. He'll send people to show. I mean, and he'll send people to show you, and if not show you, to direct you in the right place.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know you said you tried to leave a couple times. I mean, like, what really just kept you? And we're talking about, kept you at the same church. You're at the same church. You've been there. Like I said, I know that's where I met you because at that time you were in the hospital, or you were having to go to the hospital, and the pastor was asking for people to go and to come and visit and sit, so that your family could actually get a break, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
remember coming and sitting, and that's kind of how our friendship, started. Me actually coming to the hospital.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a lot. Reverend Bird is a blessing, and because to be honest, I'm gonna be real honest. I uh I felt guilty about not doing right by him, literally. And what I mean by that is the stuff that he did for me. When nobody else would have did that. I mean, he did things as if he was my father, and he was just a man that I met. I mean, in my pastor now, but uh, I didn't want to leave. I was just angry, and yeah, I ventured out, but I always came back, as they say, home. I came back because
Hmm.
that's where I belong.
Yeah, he is one. I will have to say, and Alonda says the same. We love our pastor Andre Bird. He is one of a kind. I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
I think a lot of people
he
get
more
it
than one of a kind.
misconstrued. It's not a matter of, we know he's not Jesus, but
No, he just
to actually
he just
have
a
a pastor
man.
that
Yeah,
that lives the life that he preach about
yeah,
is
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Absolutely,
yeah, yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
So
We're
that's
not
why
saying.
come I didn't want to leave. I didn't want to start over. And like I said, I was just angry, and I was angry because I felt like everybody in the church knew what was going on except me. And my mother often tells me, "How do you think we were going to be able to tell you what was going on, and you was as ill as you were?" So a lot of things were kept from me. I'm still finding out stuff today, but a lot of things were kept from me, and I was angry, but I'm glad because there's no telling what would have took place.
And
So
and when you say no telling what would have taken place, being that angry,
yeah, I thought about doing a whole lot of stuff because the devil is a beast, and
he
he
is.
he
He
knows
is.
me. I'll say stuff, but when I start trying to literally retaliate, um, yeah, he knew. I'll never forget. We got up in church one Sunday, and I had told Reverend Bird because this was the Sunday that I had found out, and I told Mom, I said, I'm getting up, I'm going to church, and I'm going to whip her all up and down these aisles. And so my mom was like, no, you're not. And I'm like, you the mama, but you ain't telling me what to do. So I got up, got myself together. She sat next to my mama. And it was a sickening thing because you always was in my mama's face. But that's what the devil does. He just
It is.
he does what he does. And so, make a long story short, I got up, and I'll never forget as long as I live. I hid behind the big uh uh the block that's, I don't even know if it's still in the church, but I hid behind there, and all I could do was just, and I had that L, man. All I could do was scream, I mean, scream, scream, scream. And my niece and nephew at the time said, Amy, they thought you was shouting. And my niece said, no, you were crying of a death cry. Because it hurt. It hurt. And see, I heard about people doing stuff in the church, but it didn't matter to me because it had nothing to do with me. But until I had to go through what I had to go through, then I understood how things really go on in the church. But again,
Because it's the people, it's not the
yeah,
church. And
yeah,
I think that that's what happens is that, you know, because it occurs with somebody who goes to church, it occurs with, somebody who's connected, so to speak. But that's the difference that people, there are church people, and then there are believers or Christians. And
yeah,
there's a difference.
yeah,
There's a
yeah,
difference,
yeah, yeah, yeah. And
you
it
know,
it, it is a difference.
but this is what hinders some people, because just imagine if you didn't have your own relationship, where you could possibly be, where how things could have turned out for
Oh
you.
yeah, yeah. But the great thing is I got a praying mama because between her and God, they kept me grounded. Yeah, they kept me grounded, and my mama always tells us, that we need to always go to God, even when we don't want to. You go to Him because He's the only person that's going to help you. And like I said, between God and my mama, that's who kept me. They kept me grounded because a lot of things could have occurred, a lot of things. But I'm grateful. I'm grateful that He kept me. And then not only He kept me through that, He kept me alive.
Now say that again,
Yeah, that's what He did.
because that's
Yeah, He kept
because
me.
that because that's the important part.
Yeah, yeah, He kept me.
Yeah, that's the important part, because he knew he was gonna take you from heartbreak, heartache to a heart transplant.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. And
yeah.
He did that. I can say because I can say I don't look like what I've had to go through. Yeah, I don't look like what I've had to go through. And that machine that I wore, it was 10 pounds in my chest. And so I actually that's the first time I actually thought I was gonna die. I thought I was gonna die with that LVAD, and one day because I had to have somebody come and change it, those 3 days. And so one day I was in my mom's bathroom and I said, you know what, I'm gonna do this. And if I can't do it, then all right, whatever. I'm gonna just let somebody else do it. But in that bathroom that day, I changed my own. I could tell you how to do it, but I did it myself. So when I done it myself with God, I knew then, all right, this a breeze. I got this. I just got to follow the rules accordingly with this LVAD, and I'm gonna make it. My transplant was something totally different. My transplant, I was up, ready to go, looking for my mama, but that LVAD was it taught me discipline because another thing, I did a lot of crime because I couldn't act out, and that LVAD plus my defibrillator kept me where I had to kind of shut down. If you get excited with the defibrillator, then it's gonna go off.
So that's why you couldn't act out.
Hmm. And that's why come, the devil tries to trick me now. But but yes, that between that LVAT and that defibrillator, yeah, he made me sit down and shut up. So there was a lot of things that I didn't I didn't pay attention to. I had a lot going on, but I still had to have peace with a lot of things that were
So
tearing
do
me
you
up
think?
inside.
So do you think that was a part of your journey, having that L bag to keep you from not being able to act out when you
Oh
sit back
yeah.
and think about it?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Cause I'm telling you, I thought about doing a whole lot of stuff to them. Whole lot. whole lot of stuff. And again, I knew that if I wore, I mean, it's not that I wore, but with what was placed in me, I knew that it was going to do its best to keep me humble. Now, not always did it work, but I knew that if I cut up the way that defibrillator was going to go off, and it was a matter of like a horse kicking you in your chest. So if I got too exerted, then it was going to be a whole issue that I was going to have to deal with. And then, that's the machine that pumps your heart back once your heart stops beating.
But you know what? It's so funny because you said because you couldn't do that because what was placed in you. Because really, you had the L bag and the
Mm-hmm.
defibrillator, and those were the physical things.
Mm-hmm.
But what really was placed in you was your love for God. This brings me, and I was thinking about when I preached my first sermon, and thinking about when I preached about how's your heart,
Mm-hmm.
because that's really what was placed in you.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
know, yeah, you was angry, and people get it misconstrued because they think when you're a believer, when you're a Christian, that it makes you not have certain emotions. No,
No,
that
people
don't mean you
forget.
ain't gonna get pissed off and want to do something to somebody because they've
Yeah,
hurt you.
yeah,
Because that's
yeah,
gonna be your. I mean, that's the natural reaction.
yeah, and that's why God made
It
us.
make you want to, as they say, kill a nigga.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't
Absolutely.
mean you don't believe.
No, no. The human, as far as I'm concerned, the human side is for me to act out. Because if you didn't hurt me, especially when I didn't try and tried to do the right thing and to be there when you didn't have nobody, nobody. I came to Dallas because I didn't want to depend on nobody no more, and I figured if I came here, then it would just be me and him, and that was it. But you know, things happened differently, and so
Yeah, Aunt Betty says, but God gives you peace.
absolutely, absolutely, you have to have that because if not, Aunt Betty, that's when the devil will take over. Yeah, he'll do his best to try to take over. So you better have some peace because
Mhm.
if not, and I mean this is a little bit of the story, but I was dramatized. Just you know, I just somebody that I never thought me and him would divorce. Never. I know people have problems, but I figured you'd have some problems, and then you would get through them because that's what my mom and daddy did. I'm 52 years old. My mom and daddy done been through hell with each other, but the problem is they stuck. They stuck together, and they did stuff accordingly, and that's what I grew up with, sticking with whomever, even if it gets tough. Now I ain't talking about you kicking my behind and that type of thing, but sticking with me through the good and the bad times, and that's what people need to understand. You just don't give up. You got to have a
Right.
lot of peace, and you gotta be able to be truthful because I'm big on being truthful about stuff.
Yeah.
You got to be
Yeah.
truthful about stuff. If you hurt, you hurt,
Yeah.
and I can tell you, yeah, I've been hurt. Yeah, I've been hurt. And just to know that you were an addict all them years and I stuck by you. I didn't leave you. I didn't agree with what you were doing, but I didn't want to leave you because God, as far as I'm concerned, had put us together. So my joy was to stay with you and do right by you. And when I got ill, you played out. I
Yeah. I
mean,
mean, that's what, Lisa Monet had said, kill his ass. We know, I mean, and that's how and sometimes in the moment, that's how you feel.
yeah, but
Yeah.
like the old saying, but God. Yeah,
But
'cause
God,
I can't. I used to tell my mama all the time, girl, I can't imagine myself going to the penitentiary and they not giving me my transplant medication. Are y'all crazy?
oh my
So
God.
I thought about. I mean, I could, you can be silly, but I thought about a lot of stuff. But yeah, I was hurt. I was. I was I was hurt. Yeah, I was.
Is
Yeah,
that
I
what
just.
is that what kept you from killing
Yeah,
it?
absolutely, absolutely. Hell, because I could see them missing, help, making me miss a couple of days, or ooh, and they don't want to give you what you need when you in there anyway. So, no,
Oh, you know what, Tasha? You crazy.
yeah, I know, but yeah,
Yeah.
that's I had to logically think about a lot of stuff, But again, my mama stayed in my ear. She stayed in my ear on a whole lot of occasions, and I one thing I won't do that. There's two sides to each story, but one thing I won't do is lie, not about somebody that I loved. Yeah, I won't never say
And that
anything
and
that's
that's a
against
good
the
thing because
person.
that's what happened. A lot of people will want to tell their side, but they don't want to tell the truth. And I tell people all the time that the truth stands. It doesn't matter whether it's something that we want to hear or not. The
Yeah,
truth
cause
stands.
yeah,
You
cause
don't
I don't
have
need
to.
you.
You don't have to defend the truth.
Because I don't need you to be agreeing with me on everything, and later on we dispute about some stuff. I need you to be just as open with me as I'm gonna be with you. We agree to disagree. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I mean, and a lot of people, would have said that, this happened to you. You come through it, so to speak. You've moved on in life. You're somewhere different in life. You know. So, what would you tell somebody who is saying, "Hey, how do I stay in the church, knowing that this happened in the church?" What would you tell somebody?
girl, you're gonna have to be really strong. you you gonna have to be really. I mean, it. I would I would tell my friend,
Yeah.
or an individual. Let me say that. I'd tell my friend or individual, it's not gonna be easy. It's not gonna be easy, but you're gonna have to trust God, and that's the only thing that you're gonna be able to do, because I was blamed for my divorce. A lot of people blamed me
But what do you
for.
say when they say how I'm gonna trust him and he let that happen?
We're gonna have to talk through. If I got to listen to you 30 times a day, we're gonna have to get through this together. I mean, you're gonna have somebody. I mean, you'll have God, but you're gonna have somebody that you can find in to to walk you through it, because it's a walking process. You gotta walk and talk to yourself, and again, my mama is my person.
Your let me say this, and because I know your mama. I have my own relationship with your mom as well.
Hmm.
Yeah, your mom is one of a kind.
Yeah, yeah, she is.
Yeah,
She
yeah.
is my person, because the first thing when I said I was leaving, my mama said, "You must be a fool." And I thought to myself, I might be, but I mean, whatever. But I, I've had to hold people's hands secretly through some things that they've had to go through. One thing I'll never do is tell nobody to leave their husband, because that's not my place. But I've had to hold some hands, and I've had to cry. And see, you might not be crying, but I'm gonna be doing all the crying for you, because I know it's hurting you. So, you know, if it was you, all I could do for you at some point is hold your hand, and just guide you as much as I could. I mean, there's really not a whole lot. There is some things that you can do, but I know some people that will tell some people where to go and how to go, because it happened, and I'm not going back, and you can't convince me to go back. So it's got to be in your heart to want to stay, and to be able to understand that things happen, and it don't matter where they happen at. So I that's what I would say. I mean, like I said, I wanted to leave, but I
So
I
do you
couldn't.
think that's the problem with today with people in relationships and marriages is that people just give up, that they don't believe
Absolutely.
in sticking through it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. When I go to weddings now, I have a issue when it comes to when they get to talking about in sickness and in health. I almost pass out because people don't honor that. They just don't. A nigga gets sick and they out of there. Cause see, like my ex husband, I believe he couldn't handle it. I'm different. My mama raised me to stick and stay. But you got a lot of folks that don't stick and stay. And so the least little thing, they up and they gone. Or dealing with
I mean, and
somebody
that's
else.
exactly true. But I think sometimes, like you talk about, seeing your mom, your dad, they went through hell, and even with each other. But what about that person who didn't have that mom and daddy that was together? So they don't have that example. So then, I know my crazy sister, she mentioned how, because we didn't grow up in a house with a mom and a daddy. So she talks about how, you know, what she does, she had to learn in her own marriage, so to speak. She had to learn what to do, what not to do, whatever, and what works for her and her husband. But we didn't grow up with an example, so to speak, of um, uh, a two-parent home in the house with two parents, whereas your parents have been together how long?
They 52 years, but my daddy was an addict. So my mama did a whole lot of stuff by herself. My daddy was there, but she did a whole lot of stuff by herself. And see, my mama made sure that we had Jesus in our life, no
Okay,
matter what.
so you saying your dad was an addict. So do you think that kind of, what's the word for it, that affected your decision and how you ended up with an addict?
No,
Okay.
no, no,
Okay.
no. I mean, hell, because I didn't know that I was, I didn't know that I was going to get involved with somebody such as the person that I did. But he hid his. He didn't look like an addict. He hid his. I'll never forget. We was at church one day and Lenny walked past. We didn't even know Lenny. He said, "Hey," I said, "Do you know him?" And I was telling my mama, what I'm saying, and my mother said in return, "Spirits know spirits."
Mm.
So I didn't realize, that my friend was, speaking to Johnny at that time regarding, and it was nothing. He was just speaking to him.
Right.
But uh no, I didn't I wasn't trying to follow in behind the footsteps of that situation.
Okay.
But I do believe in generational curses.
Absolutely, absolutely,
I do
absolutely,
believe. I do believe.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. I think that's a big thing in in the black culture, and a lot of people don't want to break it. So Lisa Monet says, in my opinion, men are strong as women when they are put in hard situations. Your
Hmm.
ex-husband thought you was dead. Instead of turning to God and asking for guidance, he went the easy route.
Absolutely.
Oh, she said men are not as strong as women.
No, they not. They not. But see, that's something I had to learn because I know, my mom had went through she went through what she went through with my dad, but I had to learn. I had to get my own learning. Let me just say that of a man, and I know that they barely can handle a stomach ache. So a lot of them. So I mean, yeah, I like I said, I've had to understand a lot of things better because my situation was scary. I was in just I'm just throwing this out here, but it was one time I was in the kitchen and I flatlined. I had just left the hospital and I flatlined and fell up under the table. And so he kept saying, "Come on, let's go back to the hospital." But I kept saying, "I just left. I don't want to go back there." And so, hell, I know it was scary. My whole situation was scary, especially that machine. I literally lived where I was plugged up to the wall at night and I wore batteries through the day. And my machine that I wore was like our cell phones. When it started going dead, I had to plug up to the wall. So yeah, hell yeah, he was scared. I'd have been scared too. I wouldn't have left though, but I mean, I'd have been scared. And so that comes back to, a lot of people. God has to send people sometimes to help and orchestrate things that go on in our life. And that's what he did for me during my transplant. The nurses, they never called me Natasha, they called me Stan. And they would come through on their shifts, come into the hospital, and they say, Stan, your heart's coming. Even days that I kept saying, oh, this is getting longer and longer and longer. He always sent somebody to encourage me and to keep me on my toes, even when I thought I was a failure. Because at times that's what I felt like. My marriage, now I'm getting LVAD, and from the LVAD, I'm getting somebody's whole heart.
Mm. Yeah, God is amazing like that, you know. And
Yeah,
it's funny that you say that, God sends people, he sent people to you even during that time. But,
yeah.
I think about our friendship, our sistership, because, I know that, people be like, you and her friends?
Oh yeah, they trips out. Absolutely.
they actually, they actually still do.
I'm
But,
sure.
but it's
Yeah,
amazing because God knows who to connect you with,
yeah. He does. He does.
you
He
know?
does. Even sometimes if it's for a season. Because
Oh,
I had to. That's something that I had to understand is there really are seasons. It's seasons for real, and I didn't understand, but I understand now. And yes, he does.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, connect because we don't even know when we need a person or what we need, and that particular person is going to speak into our lives at the divine moment that it's
hmm
supposed to be.
hmm
Because I know
hmm
we talk about some of everything,
everything. Yeah, yeah,
everything,
absolutely.
And I'd be like, Tasha, you
Yeah,
don't even you're not utilizing your gift
yeah, yeah.
that
And
He's
and
given.
and 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 yes, yes, yes. Something I just I thought about Sunday. I just keep thinking about Sunday when Reverend Bird's wife was preaching and she was talking about the decisions and having faith. A lot of people think because I'm not doing what the Lord says that I've forgotten. Hell, I ain't gonna never forget what He did for me because He brought me from the dead. So I'm never gonna forget what God does or and is in the process of doing for me. It's just a matter of me, and I can say this, it's a matter of me getting off my behind and doing what's expected because uh, there's a lot of things I know again that I should be doing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think that people need to. I think what happens is that people expect things to come in certain packages, so to
Yeah.
speak. You
Or
know what I
right
mean?
now. Yeah.
And people need to get that out of their heads. I talked about this. I was talking about how you know that we are judgmental people by nature. You know, so we're looking for that anointing or whatever in a certain look in a person. You know, and so some people will miss their blessing. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
because that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
yeah. Because let me tell you something. Because God will use whoever
Anybody.
He choose, anybody,
Hmm
anybody. You
hmm
know, So it doesn't matter, what it looks like to the people, but that's why we have to keep telling our journeys so that people will know that hey, it might not be what you think,
hmm
but
hmm
regardless, if I look like you think I should look, and if my life should carry the anointing, whether you think it should or not, it's not up to you. It's up to Him,
hmm
because
Absolutely.
that's why we're here to be able to for people to tell their stories so that they can change somebody else's life. because people
Yeah.
want to hear real stuff. They don't want to hear about, I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, okay, God did it, but how did you feel before you decided that God was going to bring you through it? Because
Yeah.
that's not usually your first reaction.
No. No. No, it's really not. Yeah, it's not.
You know, so some people, people have, need heart transplants. Some people need, pancreas. I mean, people go through illnesses where they need. What would you say to somebody in regards to the type of attitude? Like what type of attitude are you thinking that, because yeah, you were angry about things that you had went through, but in overall you regrouping, so to speak. Do you think that made a difference? Because I know, having dealing with or knowing somebody that's in a situation where they need a pancreas and a kidney, but the attitude is just like stank.
Yeah, absolutely. You baby, you be mad at everybody, and that's just. I mean, again, that's to me, that's one of the human sides. You're mad at everybody. I mean, again, it's why me? I didn't do nothing. I did what God said, or I whatever. That's just and it's steps. You it's like going through a divorce. You go through all them steps, the mad, the angry, I'm gonna kill you, whatever it is you gotta go through. You go through all them steps. And then once you get through them steps, now for me, it didn't take me no couple of years to get over. A lot of people just like, all right, bam, I'm whatever. Hell, it took me and it's taken me still time some days to get over stuff because it's not anything that just happens right away. So yeah, you got a lot of people that are angry. You blame yourself, and you got to go through the process. But once you get through that process, then it starts getting better day by day, day by day. But you got to go through stuff and see. I had to learn just because you will don't mean I have to. I had to understand that Tasha, this really was your season to go through everything you went through. I didn't understand. All I could think was, I mean, I mean, what did I do so bad to? I mean, but I had to understand that it was just my time. It was my time, and that's what I had to go through. But again, you'll go through that process of everything you need to go through, and once it starts getting better, then you'll be able to speak and to tell people uh, exactly what you went through.
Yeah, because I think you think that's part of the problem is that people, because you're a Christian, people think that, oh, okay, well, you're supposed to, oh
No,
God, oh,
no,
oh,
I
no,
don't think Christian got anything to do with it. Hell, it's just a matter of you being held human. I mean, yeah,
being real.
yeah. You mean okay? So you go to church and I mean, and you love God and you read the Bible, but okay, and that ain't got nothing to do with why I'm going through what I'm going through. And a lot of people don't want to hear about that. I got a friend right now that's in the hospital, and the first thing he says is, well, I was a good guy. And I was this and I was that, but I also understand that when you going through the midst of your mess, you got to be able, even in the midst of it, you got to be able to tell people what it is and how you gonna get through this. And I believe and I know too also the things that come out of our mouth, because I never said that I was sick. I always said I got a situation, and I'll never
Yeah.
forget. This woman came in the room and she said, "You're really sick." I said, "You a lie? I got a situation going on. Ain't nobody told you nothing about I was sick. That's what they say. I'm sick. But I got a situation." And so you have to, it's like the song goes, you got to encourage yourself. And
Hmm,
it is not that easy. I don't give a
it's
damn what
not.
nobody say, cuz people are quick to say uh you know, do this, do that. That ain't the, you can't tell me always to do that. You can encourage me. Don't even mean necessarily that I'm gonna listen to you, but you can do all you can do in order to help. And like I said, God sent some people to encourage me because He knew I was gonna fail at this. I was gonna do exactly what the devil said, and I was gonna go to prison, and they wasn't gonna give me my transplant medication. So you
Okay,
know,
but I went to prison and you got a heart transplant. So
I did.
yeah, yeah,
I sure
yeah,
did.
yeah,
I
yeah.
sure did.
Jasmine says faith and believing is the main key.
To the
Yeah,
spirit, yes. Yes, it is,
yeah.
and I had to believe and I had to trust because I thought, and I'm gonna say this because my mama kept stuff from me. I was mad at my mama. I was angry because all I could think was, how could you keep this from me and I'm your child? So I had a lot of emotions. Angry, I think I was past angry. Yeah, I
But you know,
blame a
a
lot of
mother's
people.
job is to protect, though.
It
So
is, but I didn't give a damn. You should have told me. I'm like Kelly Price. You should have told me. Yeah, you should have told me. I mean, I might not have been able to handle it, but I mean, I'm able to handle it now. But back then, I was just like, all y'all can bite the dust, and that ain't even what I want to say. But you can really do it because how could you? And this is somebody that I loved, So
yeah,
it wasn't an easy
yeah.
task at
And
all.
I remember some of it because we were friends, but we weren't as close as we are now. You know, because but I do remember some of it because we did talk about it a little bit, not in depth as conversations that we have now.
Now, yeah,
But
yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah.
I just know that it's awesome because people have to really know the real, like, hey, yeah, okay, I had heartache, and in the midst of trying to get a heart transplant, and
Hmm.
this is how I felt.
And not always was I. I'm still, as far as I'm concerned, I'm still a new Christian because I'm still learning. I grew up in the church, but I'm still learning. Yeah, I'm
Oh
still
yeah, and I,
learning.
and I and I think even people, even preachers, pastors who've been preaching 20, 30 years, everybody is still learning.
Hmm.
And I think that's the key, is that people have to know, is that everybody should be still learning, because you can never completely know everything
Yeah,
about anything, not just Christ, but anything.
yeah, and definitely you have to be teachable. You have to be
Now say that again,
teachable.
so for the people who didn't hear that.
Yeah, you gotta be teachable because if not, then you're gonna take what you think is the truth and turn it upside down.
Hmm.
Yeah, turn it
Yeah,
upside
they
down.
were protecting you and your heart. In the meantime, they were praying for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Abs- Even my doctor one time said, "You must be really amazing." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I am." He said, "We had a board meeting because I didn't know. I seen the stuff on TV where they have to have the board meetings and everybody go in and they talk about you." He said, "I ain't never been in no board meeting where everybody in there crying." He said, "I had to come down here and literally see who you was." He said, "Everybody is shooting for you." And I'm like, yeah, I
Yeah,
believe that.
because that was the God in you showing up in the midst of that heartbreak,
Hmm.
right there. I mean,
Yeah.
just imagine the doctor telling you that the other doctors and everybody in the board, they were crying.
Hmm.
That was that. We don't even have to. Somebody might not know, but somebody needs to know that that's God, because even when we're not in the room, He's already set the atmosphere.
Oh yeah, and I'm gonna tell you something else. How magnificent! Because again, I'll never forget. They came and they told us that they found a heart, and they said, "No, we don't want to give her that one." And so they came back and they had found a heart. And me and my mama just sat there because we was tripping out, like literally. And it happened, so quick once they found me a match. But you know, I literally become emotional because God didn't have to keep me. He didn't. They could have gave me that first heart, and then I'd have probably had to have something else. But
Mm-hmm.
because I know a Savior who can
Yeah. Yeah.
deliver me from this world of sin, I know it. And those are times that I know God loves me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Say
he,
that
and he
again.
and
God
he
did not
loves
have
me.
to keep you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he loves me because he kept me. Yeah,
Yeah.
he kept me. Yeah. And my assignment, yeah, I got one.
Yeah. You got one. Lisa Monet says, doing your assignment, you encourage someone else and make them a believer that God is real.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. You're
Yeah.
looking at one.
Yeah.
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 Yeah,
You
you're
know,
looking at one.
yeah, I am just so honored that you would share your story, here with us. Um, you know how much I love you. That goes without saying. As some people say, what's understood don't have to be said,
Absolutely.
but for the world to know, it is an honor. Um, God knew that we need to be connected. The friendship, the sisterhood. You know,
Hmm.
like I said, to be able to tell your story so that somebody else's life can be impacted, because that's what we want to do, is impact people's lives, and knowing that in the midst, yeah, we went through some stuff, we go through some stuff, but there is life after that.
Yes.
And then
Yes.
we get to that place, but we wouldn't have ever gotten to the after if God hadn't been with us through that journey. you know
Absolutely.
um, we want to ask people to continue to join in with us on Saturday mornings here at Dear Life After at 11 a.m.
Mm.
Also, Monday through Thursday at 8 a.m., we have morning tea with Lonnie B. Also, on Fridays, we have Manny Cush Friday mornings at 8 a.m. Bible study. And then on Sundays, we normally have Greg Bloomfield, but he is out for the season. He will return with his new season in September. Uh, so please tune in. Like I said, don't forget that we are here every Saturday at Dear Life After. Please like, follow our page, share it, because again, somebody's life will definitely be impacted.
He promised.
Thank you for joining us on today. Latasha, I love you, and
Thank you for having me.
absolutely, absolutely, because I knew that somebody needs to hear your story. And if you know someone who wants to tell their story, please have them to reach out to me at yourlifeafter@gmail.com. Again, we love you and thank you for joining.
Thank you.